espero que nadie se ofenda, pero hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Só nós sentimos assim. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. O valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Welcome, good evening to episode 44. Finally, a penalty is the title this time around. We got Oscar and Kenny back. Oscar, how are you?
Very good. How you guys doing?
Glad for a Tuesday.
Can't complain.
Can't complain. It's good.
Yeah.
Got another win under our belt. It's good.
Oh, that's fine. What is it, 7 in a row now?
Something like that. We'll look at that. Today we're going to cover Benfica 1, Maritimo 0 yesterday at the Estádio da Luz. We'll look at the highlights, talk about what we saw, recap of the game, and who was our MVP. We will also have a discussion about Odysseas' interview while he was away with the Greek national team about how he thinks his time at Benfica has run its course, and maybe it's time to look at what's on the other side of the fence and see if the grass is greener. We'll also talk about, does the result from yesterday, Sporting drawing away to Moreirense, give us a glimmer of hope? I know that there'll be a lot of opinions on that. And also just to mention that on Thursday, we will be chatting with Odysseas. Odysseas is a former professional footballer, played for Farense, Nacional, Braga, Rio Ave, currently living in London. Going to chat with him on Thursday afternoon, U.S. time. Talk about his career prior to becoming a professional, during his career, and after his career. He's gotten a pretty interesting story. He never played for Benfica, but he grew up a Benfica fan, is a Benfica fan, so it'll be interesting to chat with him. That conversation will be in Portuguese on Thursday. To start, let's take a look at the highlights from yesterday's match. Let's talk through it here. We went back to, 3-0. All right, we got the highlights. I always start with Oscar, so I'm going to start with Kenny today. Kenny, what were your
I was hoping
thoughts
that
on
you
that
would start
game?
with Oscar.
All right, I can start with Oscar.
Yeah, let's start with Oscar. I'm curious to see what he has to say.
I mean, it's not much there to say other than, like, we got the result that we wanted, right? We got 3 points. That's all we wanted. It kind of, like, it made me pissed me off that if we got this result and we couldn't score those opportunities, but we didn't let Maritimo have any opportunities, I would have been fine. But because Maritimo could have easily got a result out of this game, it would annoy the crap out of me. We had a good control. Seemed like we controlled the game the whole 90 minutes. And because we couldn't finish, we'll put the game away. It almost feels like we're Tottenham. We're creating chances, and then we always let the other team come back and tie or win. It's like that's how I feel like with Benfica. Like, at least now, like we're winning, but it's like almost barely. It's almost like Sporting. Sporting wins most of their games, but it's like by 1 goal, and it's like they're getting that result, which I'm fine with. I'm okay with it, but it's just like too risky for me.
Speaking of Sporting, I heard a stat today that they haven't scored more than 2 goals in a game since December, and they average less than 2 goals per game this season, which is pretty crazy considering they're in first place by 8 points.
How many games?
Right.
How many games?
They don't concede a lot.
Yeah, how many games have they scored after the 80th minute, like to win a game? Yeah. It's like that's only by 1 goal.
So you thought there was a penalty, but you thought it was soft? It
was soft. I thought that penalty, like you could see Rafa, the guy touches him, but then he does like the whole hop, like a bunny hop into the front. And, like
he doesn't know how to fall.
Yeah, like. And I think Jesus in the interview at the end, he goes, "Os meus jogadores são muito honestos." I'm like, yeah.
It's true. I was thinking about it. Imagine the show that Taremi, for example, would have put on that play.
I know.
And he would have world-class 10-grade, 10-score dive on that play.
Yeah, I know. As soon as he touches them, though, which is fine. If Rafa falls right after he gets touched, nothing, no argument, just it's a PK. But because he's like he got touched and then he's like, let me hop to the floor like after 2 seconds, like I mean, like come on, dude.
I thought for sure they were going to turn it back.
No, I don't think because he touched the guy did touch his leg on the turn, right? But it's a soft PK.
And before I pass it to Kenny, in the last 10 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In the last 10 games, Benfica's conceded 2 goals in the league. 1-0 against Sporting away, and the 1-1 draw away to Moreirense. Apart from that, they've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clean sheets. Who do you credit that to? Do you credit that to the players starting to get some consistency with each other, the practicing, the less games in between, or the more time in between games? Do you credit the manager that you don't like to talk well about? Who do you point this credit to, or the improvement?
Kenny?
No, to you before I pass it to Kenny.
No, me. I improve it to the additions that we had to the defense, and basically he matched them up well now, and having Lucas Veríssimo coming in helped huge. I don't think Elton Late. I don't know if he gives more confidence to the defense. I'm not sure, but he hasn't done any more saves than Odysseas used to do. Actually, I think Odysseas used to do more saves than Elton Late does now. So I think our back line got solid, and I think the time together in Lucas coming in, Diogo coming into the right back, it helped out. So they right now they're playing. They're really playing well together.
Okay, Kenny, what are your thoughts on the game?
Well, just to get my 2 cents on that question, I think, and I could be wrong, but I mean, Benfica was in the first leg, the first half of the season, they went on a 5-6 game winning streak as well. I don't know if it was the same stretch of teams. No, it wasn't.
Hold on, let me see what the
we beat Moreirense, we tied them this time, and we beat Famalicão, we tied them this time.
Correct. So we beat Famalicão 5-1. Let me see. I got it here. So we let's see. That's the league. All right. So we beat Famalicão 5-1. We beat Moreirense 2-0. Feirense we beat 3-2. Rio Ave we got a clean sheet against. Bolonense we got a clean sheet against. Boavista we lost to. Braga we conceded 3. We got a clean sheet against it. But I think that's the key, right? Like the opponents that we've played, right? Like of the clean sheets, right? 1-0 Maritimo, 0-2 against Braga, 2-0 against Boavista, 0-3 against Bolonense, 2-0 against Rio Ave, 0-0 Feirense, 2-0 Famalicão, 0-0 Vitória, and then 1-0 we lost to Sporting.
No.
Of the opponents, right? Like none of them are great, but for me, and I've said this before, for me, Braga is the team that's been the most consistent, and for me, plays the best football in Portugal. For me, in my opinion. To go there and shut them out, I think is a huge result. And I get we played against 10.
That's all I can say.
For the second half. Hold on.
39 minutes.
But don't forget that up until that red card, I don't think Braga did anything. I don't think the goalie had to do anything. Right?
Did we create chances before that?
We had 1 or 2 before that. Maybe not clear-cut chances, but I'm saying defensively. I'm not talking about offensively. Defensively, the fact that like they didn't really get anything going up until that red card, I think is telling. But Kenny, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, basically from what I can tell, right? I think outside of the Boavista and the Braga game, essentially I feel like it's kind of the same team. I mean, I still don't think Benfica is convincing. The only difference is that we're not conceding goals. That's the only difference that I see in the team. So defensively, we're better. I think as a unit, not only just on defense, but as a unit, I think we're playing better. But I mean, the Boavista game. I mean, let's face it, we should have won
7 minutes in, red card against Boavista this time around.
In this game, yeah, but we should have won. I mean, essentially, that was just a bad loss in the first go around. But really, the Braga game was impressive. But again, like Oscar said, red card that helps the situation. But for me, I still don't think. I mean, clearly, Benfica is not convincing. again, I think in a game like this, you can look at the positives. You win, you get the 3 points, you don't concede a goal. But then if you actually go back and look at this game, you only won, and it was because of a PK. If you hadn't gotten the PK, it's probably another tie because you couldn't finish, you couldn't put the game away. Or if Maritimo really took care of business themselves, they probably could have snuck one in. So this could have been just as bad of a loss, or it could have been a blowout. It's just frustrating that we missed, and Jesus said it after the game. Like, not only was it like face to face with the goalie, it was like 2-3 guys face to face with the goalie and still couldn't put the ball in. Like, that's just
and then sometimes nobody in front of the goal and you couldn't put it in the net.
Yeah. So it's just bad decision making. This is classic Seth, right? Seth's been our best goal scorer, probably one of our better players, and the chance to keep like getting the momentum, like getting me on his side, and then he does, something like, I just can't get on board with him. I don't care if he's our best player this year. I just can't get on board with him. The other thing too, there was a couple of things. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I think Maritimo probably again should have gotten a second yellow. I believe towards the end of the first half. There was a guy, I forget who it was, but he was already on a yellow. He made a blatant foul. I think it was on, if I'm not mistaken, on Weigl, and the ref didn't give him a second yellow. And I think that had to do with, what would the opposition say if Benfica had another game with another red card in the first half? 3 in a row.
And a penalty.
And a penalty on top of that. So he definitely kept that in his pocket. And I think there was also, in the 44th, I wrote it down here, in the 44th minute, Diogo Gonçalves got away, I think, with a PK in the box too. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I think...
on who?
I don't remember, but it was right before the half.
I'll have to go back and check it after.
Yeah, I wish we had done the podcast because I from one day to the other I'm already forgetting. But I wrote it down here. I think Diogo got away with a PK. But yeah, that was the gist of it. It's just disappointing that we couldn't put the game away. We could have. It's still positive. We won. We got the 3 points. We're still. I don't know. You might want to look at it in the race now with Sparting losing 2 points, but I don't think we deserve it.
I have something to say. The only thing difference and the only thing I disagree with Kenny is when we had this stretch of winning games in the first leg, we weren't like, other than Famalicão and all that. Like I said, the luck will run out. We're scoring 1 goal, we're creating 1 chance and scoring 1 goal and winning a game. The only difference now is we're creating a lot of chances, and we're just not finishing them. And that's the strike. But we're creating a lot more chances than we were to be first leg. Because that it gives me kind of like almost like hope that we're in the track to getting better. Because the chances against Maritimo, we could have easily scored 4 or 5 goals easily and those are clear chances, not like you're shooting from outside the box and hits a post. It is a chances like legit. They're playing well, getting the ball to the box, and the striker's missing it.
Yeah, but in the first half of the season, we had that 5. Didn't we? We had a game.
That's what I mean. Against other than Famalicão.
If you guys remember,
this second half of the season, we haven't had a goleada yet.
No,
we haven't. But we're creating chances. We're creating chances. Like that's what gives me hope. Because before I'm like, dude, we're creating 1 chance in winning a game, and that's gonna run out. That luck's gonna run out. That luck's gonna run out, and then they run out. Then we're like losing, tying, and now we're in a winning streak, but we're creating a lot more chances, which is,
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I still don't. Even though they might be creating more chances, I also think like we didn't get a PK in the first half of the season. We didn't get these red cards in the first half of the season. So I think there's a lot of things going our way.
It could be, yeah. I agree.
The two games with the red cards, of course, with a man down, you're going to create more chances. You. So I don't know. For me, defensively, that's really the only change. We're not conceding as much. Well, we're not conceding anything right now. I think we're playing better. But I still see the same type of like I don't see much different in like attacking style of football, right? We're still circling the ball. We still hold possession the entire game for the most part, but we don't do much with it, in my opinion. I don't think we do enough with it. I think there should be more. Like look at crosses, corner kicks. Like we don't like. There's nothing from crosses. We get nothing out of crosses. I mean, I do see like that set piece with Tarat. I think it was Tarat. No, who took that set piece in the second half?
Tarat passed it, and then someone laid it off.
That was different, right? We haven't seen many of those designed plays, so I like that. That's clearly a studied play, but I still think it's a vanilla type of football. Like I still think it's a lot of circling the ball, not finding enough through balls. And again, this game, we had a lot of breakaways, and it could have been different, but I mean, finishing's terrible. The finishing's awful.
But do you not think that the team is controlling the game a little bit? Like I feel like, for example, and again, I heard it on a podcast this morning. Sporting, for example, doesn't score a lot of goals, but when they score, they basically take the wind out of the game, right? Like they just keep the ball. They're able to kind of kill off the game without even scoring a second goal. And Benfica in the first half of the season, right? Even when we scored, we didn't seem to have control of the game. It always just seemed so open. We didn't even get the chance to really keep the ball to kind of take some of that air out of the game. And I feel like in the last 10 or so games, like we've done that a lot, right? Like you just said, right? We keep the ball side to side. And I can agree with that to some extent. But like, I think, right, we're used to like the JJ team of the past where he played in transition 100% of the time. Like we picked the ball up and we had guys like Markovic, we had guys like Rodrigo just getting in behind, going at guys. And you look at today's team, and the only guy that I think fits into that type of team is Rafa. Like Rafa is our Markovic today, right? Like the guy that picks the ball up and just runs, right? And we're so used to that style of football that this new style that he's bringing to the table is very different. And of course, it looks very boring in comparison to what we're used to, right? Even if we compare it to Bruno Lage, right? But like the team just looks like we control, like we always look to be in control. And of course, we've given up some stupid chances. We did again this week. But I don't know. I just get the sense that the team just has a lot more of a stronghold on the game. And like Oscar said, I think we are creating more clear-cut chances where I think the chances that we created before weren't necessarily as straightforward. Oscar, what are you going to say?
No, I just think, like, all right, we had a good game against Braga, but we played against 10 guys, right? But then again, now against Maritimo, we won in a PK. We have Passos Freire next, away. So if they're gonna, like, I said that against Braga, but obviously with the red card, I can't. Like, they need to have a few more good games for me to be on board with them. And then I said they beat Braga, and I'm halfway there, right? They did beat Braga, but then the red card obviously is kind of washes that away, right? So now Passos Freire is not a joke, and they just lost. So like they're gonna come back hungry. Let's see how we match up against them down there. That could be really.
Yeah. And I'll just say this: I just still don't think it's enough of a change, or I haven't seen enough of a difference that's gonna be the difference against Sporting or Porto. I think with Braga, even though we won, I still think with a man down, Braga still had a chance. If I'm not, we ended up winning that game. What?
2-0.
2-0. But Braga still had their chances with a man down.
They did. They had a couple of chances. They went for it. They had to, right? They're down a man.
So I still don't think, for me at least, that there's much of a Benfica is going to make a difference against like the games against Porto and Sporting in the end. And I could be wrong, but I just don't.
But let's go back to when Benfica was not playing well, and against Porto we could have won that game, and against Sporting we could have won that game. I mean, the Sporting won in the 90th minute. That game was a very controlled by both teams, and if anything, Benfica's played. I think Benfica played better. So I think we do have a team to beat these two teams. They're not that much special or more ahead of us. Even though the table says Sporting is 11 points ahead, but doesn't mean that they're playing 11 points ahead of Benfica right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. And just talk on the stats here for those who may be listening but not watching after the fact. 15 shots for Benfica against 8, 6 shots on target against 2, 32 actions in the opposing box against 11, 4 corners against 3, which is surprising how much possession we had, and we only got 4 corners. 89% possession efficiency of the pass against 72. 12 defensive activities in the opponent's midfield, 17 fouls against 19 fouls, and 65% possession against 35. There's 2 questions here, or comments in the chat that I wanted to bring up quickly. Jay says, hate to say it, but Tarat has played a lot better than he did in the beginning. That has helped us as well, but they need to show more overall. Do you guys agree with Tarat stepping up?
Tarat, he had like probably 4 megs on against Maritimo. I think the guy's just clowning around the midfield, but he's actually everything is clicking for him right now. So let him keep playing. And he's playing well. He's playing well. He's actually positioning himself better on the field. I think Weigl and him have clicked. Again, they haven't played a position that will test them yet. Because when they did against Arsenal, they didn't do much.
Yeah, I think with Tarat, right, before, my big thing with him was his like bad pass or his little mistake would be multiplied by 5 because it would cause a counterattack, or it would cause a goal, or like you would just, it was a noticeable mistake. Where now I can't say that his mistakes, it's either not transitioning to a really bad play for us. It's just a simple mistake. He either recovers the ball back or it doesn't develop into anything. So
we're doubling each other. They're doubling each other more, better, because like if you think about it, like the midfield and the position in the defenders, they're covering each other really well now. Like the covering is like one guy loses the ball, there's another 2 guys on him to get the ball back. So before they like once Tarat or Weigl lost the ball, it was a highway.
It wasn't even that. I don't even think Tarat was playing with Weigl. It was more when he was playing with Gabriel that you would really notice it. I think since pairing up Tarat with Weigl, it has been a lot cleaner. And let's face it, Tarat is also a workhorse. Like you can tell, kid busts his ass during the 90 minutes. Like he's fighting for balls. Even though he's flaring his arms and going everywhere like a maniac, he's like, you can see he's hustling and putting in his work. So. Yeah,
you know what I don't like?
Can't complain.
You know what I don't like about Tarat, and I can't say this enough. Every single time I see the freaking guy in top of the box, he does not shoot.
He doesn't.
Can he not shoot from outside the box? Like legit, he's on the line. Like, what's that? 18 yards? Can he not shoot?
He doesn't shoot. That's the thing is he's that guy that we need to be that like late run into the box. That midfielder that makes that late run to score goals, but he doesn't give us goals, and even assists. He doesn't give us many assists either. And that's our problem. If he could get someone who could give them more from the midfield, it would take so much pressure off everyone else in the front, right? But we don't. Right. Who scores goals? If it's not the forwards, if it's not Rafa, and it's not Pizzi, who scores goals?
Yeah. Nobody else,
right?
Other than it could be our defenders, maybe on a corner kick, but they don't even do that now.
Yeah, like you think about other teams, right? Like Porto, for example, right? They'll get goals. Sergio Oliveira, right? Otávio scores goals, right? Corona scores goals, right? You think Sporting, right? Pelinha scored a few goals. Pot scores goals, right? And he's not really an out-and-out striker, right?
Aleijado do Mateus against Benfica scored a goal.
Yeah, right. Like so, they get like other people. Benfica's literally like if not those 2 or 3 guys to score, like it seems like we don't get goals. Dave, our buddy from last week, he asked, was the defense playing tight in fear of an error compared to now? Do you think they're playing with a little bit more confidence?
Yeah, I think so. I think them starting to play with each other more. They're starting to click. Now they found like the solid back 4, back 5. I think it was a matter of time before they started clicking together. Because before Otamendi came new, Lucas is new.
They were all new, Oscar.
They're all new.
Yeah.
So like
they're all new.
So with of course they were like, I don't want to mess up. My spot is on the line. Of course.
Not only that, we lose Andre Almeida, right? Gilberto and Nuno Tavares were first half of the season were in there. So it was all 4 new guys.
All new guys, yeah. So everybody, of course, was playing in fair. I think they were all playing in fair. Like, I don't want to be the one to mess up. And then you see Otamendi, when he messed up the first few games that he had, like, everybody was on them. That only made more fair for all the rest of them. Like, hey, look what they did to Otamendi. Like, I don't want to fuck up.
Yeah, they heard our podcast and heard the conspiracy, so they're like, fuck, Oscar's going to talk shit about us, too, so I don't want to mess up.
You should have heard what I said yesterday.
Mikey says, if Jesus insists on playing the balls constantly to the wings, then we need wingers who can control the tempo like Di Maria, Salvio, Nico, Nolito. Rafa isn't enough, and it shows. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, so let me touch on it, and I want to bring this up. Everton. Is this guy ever going to get it? Like, he should be the other side of Rafa, right? Like, this guy just doesn't. I saw mistake after mistake with him on this. I wrote down here, there was one play, he was one-on-one. He got a ball inside the box. I think it was a rebounded ball inside the box. He was one-on-one with the defender. He gets stuffed. Okay. Then later, like a few minutes later, he's on the sideline. He gets the ball, and he just makes bad decisions. Instead of making the easy pass, he tries now to thread through 2 guys, gets sandwiched, loses the ball there. He just makes mistake, bad decision after bad decision. Like, it's so frustrating to see him play. Like, people say that he's got flair, that he's got speed. I don't see any of it. He's got the only thing that I see that I like of him, but it's almost predictable, is that when he gets the ball on the left-hand side, he cuts into the right and he tries the far post shot. That's the only thing that he's done good all season. But it's almost predictable. Like, everyone knows the minute he cuts in, he's going to take two touches of the ball and take a shot. And it's, sometimes it's art, sometimes it's a fucking nothing. It's just a shit shot. So I mean, god damn, man, the expectations of this guy and the season's, what do we have? 10 games, 10 games left, something 9. Like that. 9. Like, come on, man, you can't even put together he scored a few goals, but he's trash. I mean, I won't say trash. He could become a good player, but wow, the expectations I had of him, way worse than Darwin for me.
We were playing basically a 4-4-2, no?
Yeah, like a 4-4-1-1, depending on when we had
because
the ball.
Luke and Seth.
How you looked at Waldo? Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Luke and Seth were basically at two forwards, right? So what I didn't get is I know that it looks nice. Team used to do it all the time, where you cut in and shoot far post and all that. But with 2 forwards, why not try getting crosses into the box? I don't get the whole concept of like not using those crosses and getting balls to Seth and Luka for headers. We do that often. Like, if Rafa even cuts, he's a righty and he cuts in to go through the middle. Like, that's what we do. I don't know if that's a game plan from Jesus, but I don't see crosses for 2 strikers that we playing with.
But the thing is like, we have 2 strikers, but if you look, more often than not, they're not both in the box. They're not 2 strikers who are looking for the aerial ball. Luka's more
he floats.
He floats, trying to get in between lines, trying to get in behind the back line, trying to get wide. Seth does a little bit of the same. And again, if you look, like, we rarely, when we get to the end line and we cross it, we normally cross it back to the PK spot, right, for that late run. We rarely float a ball into the box, right? And Seth scored a header. Yeah,
but when Diego Gonçalves was crossing, those
but
can
that's
happen.
The thing. Like, if you look, but like legit, there's only 1 target in the box. Like, even though you're playing with 2 strikers, you literally have 1 target, which I get it. I think it makes you almost one-dimensional, right? Like, if you're not crossing into the box, it makes it easier for the opposing team.
And just cover the middle.
Yeah, to be like, just let them come inside. They're not going to cross the ball. And if they do cross the ball, we got 3 defenders sitting on their striker, right? The likelihood of him picking it out of the air is probably unlikely. And Seth, he scored headers, but he's not that good with his head. He's got like a square head. I don't know what the hell's going on with him.
But I think if we want to use the 2 strikers, we gotta play with the fullbacks coming up, which is the 3 center backs system, and that's when we crossed the ball the most games. Was when we had Diogo Gonçalves and Grimaldo pushed up. And because I don't think our wingers, if our wingers like to go to the middle that much, then we need our fullbacks to be pushed up. So that allows our wingers to move in and our fullbacks to overlap them to cross the ball. I think that worked. That system works. I think it would be our best bet, and it showed it in the last couple of games when Diogo Gonçalves was crossing the ball.
Yeah, and again, our wingers don't like to cross the ball, right? Like that's not their style. Pizzi doesn't really like to cross the ball. Rafa doesn't like to cross the ball. Everton doesn't like to cross the ball. Pedrinho, of all of them, might be the only one that seems to want to get to the end line from a winger perspective. Apart from that, I don't really see anyone that's a natural out-and-out winger, get down the line, put the ball in the box, rinse and repeat. I don't see us having one of those in the team. In terms of...
Yeah, we do have one, but he doesn't play.
Savvy. He did come in.
Yeah, and he did good.
Ratings. Kenny, I'll start with you. Who was your man of the match? I'll bring the goal point ratings up on the screen here.
My man of the match was... Well, I had it between either Waldo or Tarat. So I thought Waldo, even without the PK, I thought he had a good game. I thought he was finding spaces. Who ended up getting it?
So Waldschmidt got the man of the match award from BTV.
Oh, okay.
Rafa got the best score according to goal point, 7.6.
Okay.
On Benfica. The goalie from Maritimo got the highest score of the game.
Yeah, that's who my man of the match was.
Who was yours?
Abuzadeb.
Oh. No, yeah, I thought Waldo had a good game. I thought he was finding spaces, playing 1-2s, and he was combining pretty well. So I'll give it to him. It was between him and Tarat.
I actually, not talking about the other team, but I really enjoyed Rafa. Rafa's, to me, he was the guy pushing the game forward. He created the PK, so that's our half of our goals right there. So hey, again, the last week I gave them credit for getting the red card. This week is the PK. It's Rafa. The guy's pulling shit out of his ass, but he's getting us up the field and he's killing it. I'm impressed with Rafa this year.
He is. I agree. Yeah, mine was going to be Rafa as well. I think he's very hot and cold. I think he's definitely been the more consistent of the players, I guess, offensively. Not going to talk defensively, right? Because we've given Weigl and Otamendi the man of the match quite a few times this season. But yeah, in terms of this game, I thought Rafa looked good. He looked confident going one-on-one. He had a couple of nice layoffs in the box that passed to Seth. The goal that he gave to Chiquinho that he missed. And was it him that passed the ball to Seth for the goal that he missed?
Yeah, the one with the heel that broke Seth through.
No, the other one, the one that Seth went one on. Oh no, because he was on the right. I think
no. That was. I think Seth, with the touch of the long ball. I think that might have been Grimaldo.
It was Grimaldo.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That long ball one was.
Yeah, that was Grimaldo.
Yeah. So my vote will be for Rafa, and obviously Amir, the goalie from Maritimo, got the 8.2 score rating for the game. That guy always fucking plays good against us. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, he probably plays like Riwav next week. He can concede 6.
Let me see if there's any new questions in here. No. Okay. Next topic I wanted to talk on Odysseas interview while he was away from on international duty states that he basically is open to looking at other options, that he's run his course at Benfica. There's rumors that there's conversations ongoing between him and his agent and Borussia Dortmund to go back to Germany. He was born in Germany. He's also Greek. He's obviously Greek international. Kenny, I know that you had mentioned in our chat that you based on what the guys were talking about in the WhatsApp group, that you didn't think he did anything wrong. I guess, what's your opinion on what he said, his timing?
I mean, in my opinion, and again, I don't know what the guidelines are. Maybe it's unprofessional, but at the end of the day, if it's not the player speaking it, probably his agent's going to say something and it's going to leak out anyways. But as a fan, I don't mind it. I think he has every right to speak out. I mean, he was the starting goalkeeper. for me, I don't think he did anything to lose his job, and he's got to look out for himself. I mean, he's he's trying to continue his career. He gets benched at Benfica, that kind of loses his stock, goes down. So yeah, I mean, if he feels like it's the right time to move and he wants to look for a new spot and doesn't want to sit on the bench, and I wouldn't either after starting for the last 3-4 years, I would ask to leave too. So maybe it's unprofessional and maybe he shouldn't speak to the papers that way or give interviews like that. But if it wasn't him, his agent would come out and say it too. So for me, it's indifferent.
And Oscar, before you go, I want to say, and I read an article this week about it, that even though he was the starter for Benfica, right, and he was a key piece to our last title, Benfica seems to have always been wanting to replace him in the sense of getting a starting goalie. So even though he was starting, I never get the sense that Benfica was 100% convinced that he could be our starter long term. And right, we went and got that guy from Juventus. The hell's his name?
Yeah, they got hurt.
Perin or whatever the hell his name was, and he failed the physical, right? And he went back to Italy. So he obviously is a guy who has been starting, but there hasn't been much better. And then when you think about Oscar, fix your clock. Time's changed.
It's like I can make the podcast on time.
But when you think about the competitive players that he's had against him, right? Like who has Benfica had to go up against him to really challenge him since he's been here?
Yeah, Slivad.
Svilad, not Slivad. Right. I think he caught Julius Caesar at the end of his career. I think he was still there. He was already there when he.
No. Julius Caesar was replaced by Ederson.
You sure?
Yeah.
Am I getting that confused? So hold on. Now I have to check to see when.
It was Varela. It was the kid. Didn't he take over the kid?
Varela.
Yeah. Okay.
And Varela won the
sucks.
league, but he won the league that year.
Yeah, he won the league.
No.
But Varela did.
No, Varela didn't win a title as a starter.
Yeah, he
There's
did.
no chance.
I thought he
think
did.
With Rui Vitoria, he won the title.
And then all of a sudden he disappeared, and Odysseas was the guy.
Yeah,
that was
another one that Varela actually wasn't playing bad when we won the title, and then all of a sudden he was not our starter anymore.
Yeah.
Let me see what he's got here. Where the hell is it here? All right. While I try to find this, Oscar, give me your thoughts on his comments.
All right. I think I don't agree with him coming out and saying that the timing is wrong. It's not good for the club. It's not good for him. Because basically by saying that, he just checked out of Benfica. I don't think Jesus will play him unless if Late gets hurt, I think he'll go to the other guy, like you said. What's his name again? Svilad. I think Odysseas just basically just signed himself out with that interview. He has a right because like Kenny said, he didn't. To me, and I don't know what goes behind the scenes. I don't know what happens behind the scenes, but to me, he didn't do anything wrong to lose that spot. All right. If they gave him the defense that they have now and put Odysseas there, I don't see Odysseas doing any worse or any better than Late. He would be doing. I think there would have been the same thing that we're doing right now. Getting clean sheets, 7 clean sheets or 5 clean sheets in a row. How many huge saves does Leighton make? Probably 1 a game. That's good. That's good that he makes those big saves because a lot of teams like Manchester City, when they have one chance against, and Ederson steps up and saves it, right? So it's good that we have the guy making that one save, but we had that with the saves, but it saves me 3 or 4 a game at that time. So it's the wrong timing. I don't like that he said that while he was away for the international team. Do I blame him for being mad? No, I don't blame because I was mad for him, and I don't blame, but I don't think it's the right time, and I think he's just basically checked himself out.
Okay. So just to go back, so Bruno Varela only won the Supertaça with Benfica in 2017. He didn't win the league that year. So
but the year before, the Rui Vitoria.
So 2017, 2018, his had 29 starts in the league, and we didn't win the league that year.
So the year before, who was the starter?
So 2017, 2018, we finished second. 2016, 2017 with Rui Vitória, we won the league, and the goalie was let's see, Paulo Lopes.
No, Paul Lopes is
Ederson. So Ederson left. Varela ended up taking over in 17-18, and Varela was there with Svilad, Paulo Lopes, and him.
Jeez.
Right, and I think that's when Svilad started to get a few games. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the season that Svilad shit his pants when we played against Manchester United.
That goal,
right away,
yeah. And then the following year, 2018, 2019, is when we got Odysseas. So Odysseas had Zlobin, and Svilad that year, right? That was his competition. And then 2019, 2020, he had Zlobin again and Svilad, right? So since he's been at Benfica, he's basically been the number one because we don't have anyone else that was ready to be the number one, nor I think anyone. I thought Zlobin was terrible. And the games that he played, he just always looked so inconsistent to me. So he never really had anyone to like push him, to force him to be better, right? And now the one time that he has someone, the way I see it, is he has someone who was a starter at Boavista. He was voted best goalkeeper in the league a few times last year. Jorge Jesus took a gamble, decided to start him, whether you agree with whether it's right or not, whether you think that because we're getting clean sheets is because of it or not is indifferent. The fact is that we are getting clean sheets. I agree that I think the defense and the fact that the team is starting to gel is contributing to that. But this guy gets benched for the first time in 3 years, and within a month's time, he's coming out and being like, I'm ready to go. Right? Like for me, that tells me like he has a shit mindset, right? Like, why don't you wait to the end of the season and battle it out, right? See if I get my spot back. The likelihood of him getting a spot back, probably unlikely, right? I'm sure he knows what goes on in practice and sees that there's a preference there. And the fact that Benfica has tried to get other goalies to potentially be the number one. But for me, it just doesn't sit well at the fact that mid-season, right, given the season that Benfica is having, he's away on international duty. This is the first time that he hasn't been an automatic starter since he's gotten here. And now all of a sudden it took a couple of weeks and now he's like, fuck this shit. I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. Right. I want to go somewhere else. Like for me, and he's 26, right? He's still got a lot to learn, not much experience. But for me, that tells me like, dude, you want to be here, then leave. Right. Like the fact that you're not willing to fight for your spot, right? At least give it to the end of the season. If you don't get your spot back and you don't think things are going to go well, then be like, okay, maybe I can go play somewhere else and be a starter. But the fact that literally it took 4, 5, 6 games and all of a sudden he's just like, fuck this, I'm out. I don't know. For me, that doesn't sit well. I don't know if you guys see it that way.
No, I agree with that.
I don't agree because I can see, right? I can see if let's say he did something to lose a spot. Okay? He gives up a bad goal or he has
he did against Sporting. And there's rumors that goal against Sporting was basically the straw that broke the camel's back for Jorge Jesus. The fact that he punched it straight out. That's the rumor.
All right. For me, in my opinion, I think that he doesn't believe that he did enough to lose his job. And now that he never and since being the supplent, he hasn't had a chance to regain his spot. He was just given to late, and now I'm the supplent, and there's no explanation. This is what I think that's going through his head. There's no explanation, and he's looking out for himself. I was on this team. I was your number one keeper for the last 3 years or whatever, how many years. This new coach comes in, automatically benches me now. I'm not the number one. I got to look out for myself. Is it bad timing? I don't know. Maybe he thinks he needs to build up his stock again. His stock is down. He needs to put himself out in the papers. You know how it is. The rumor mill, get teams interested, see if he can go somewhere good. Maybe it's part of Benfica's. I don't know. Maybe it's not, but like maybe it's part of the agent and Benfica's in best interest to try to drive the price up and get other teams interested and say, hey, look, this guy's on the market or whatever. But I don't know, yeah, that's just my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with him coming out and saying
No, I
this.
think I really think it hurts him more than it helps him by doing this right now. The reason is like he's a starter for Greece, so he's got people seeing him play, and if Greece is not doing too bad in the qualifiers, so like he's got a viewing. But now when he does that, teams are like, I don't want to a guy that like basically loses his spot for a few games and then comes and cries to the media. Like that's not the guy that we want on my team. I don't know if it helps him. I think it hurts him more than it helps him by doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Joe Miguel makes a comment here, which again was in that article that I read, right? Whether or not you believe it or not, Leite has shown hunger and want to be the goalkeeper. No complaining, no bitching. He loses a spot once and instantly talks shit. Leite was a starter, undisputed starter for Boavista last year, right? Again, was voted best goalkeeper in the league a few times. It took him a while to get a chance at Benfica, right? And he wasn't an acquisition from JJ. Like that was already acquired prior to JJ coming on board. If there was a person to bitch and moan, it could have been him, right?
No.
He could have been like, no.
But Odysseas was a starter for Benfica. So which team is better? Benfica, you come from a lower team. It doesn't mean you're going to take somebody that's just basically a starter for Benfica right away.
But he's not bad. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I agree with that, right? But this guy left from being a starter to come to Benfica, right? And obviously he doesn't think that he's going to walk right into it.
It's a step up.
It's a step up, but it took him a while to get into the team, right? Even to get a chance, right? And I know we talked about it in some of the earlier podcasts, right? Like, when is he going to get his chance? When is he going to get his chance?
He played for the cup games.
A few, but like it was few and far between, right? And like he sat back and waited, right? My time will come, whatever. I'm going to sit here, be patient, whatever, it'll happen. And again, like this guy fucking goes on the bench once and then he just, comes out and complains, which pisses me off.
But I don't think so. I mean, maybe I didn't get the full gist of it, but I don't feel like he came off as like bitching and complaining and like bad mouthing the club. I think he was just kind of like, and this isn't just 1 or 2 games now. Like he's been benched for what now? Like a long stretch of games. So he has remained silent for a while. I think he's just like, you know what? Hey, I think my time may be up here. The way I read it, I appreciate all the time in the club and the president and the players here, but I think it's probably my time has come up at Benfica, and it might be better for me to move on to a different club. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think he bitched. I don't think he badmouthed the club.
No, it's just the timing to say that. Like right now, basically by him saying that, Ken, he doesn't play again another game until the end of the season.
And he probably wouldn't have anyways.
I actually liked Jesus. For the first time, I'm going to agree with Jesus after they asked him about that interview, and I agreed with him. His interview basically made sense. People have goals for a team and goals for individually, and he chose the individual goals, which is fine. The timing is wrong. It's actually okay for somebody to say at the end of the season, be like, you know what? It's time for me to move on. I made my 5 years here or 3 or 4 years here. I did my job, whatever. I won a few campeonatos, but it's time to go. It's time to move on to take my next step in my career, and then do it. Then everybody's fine with that. Think for yourself. But when you do it, when you have 9 games left and you can still have a chance to compete for your spot, like that's wrong timing because you basically have no chance anymore.
So I didn't come that prepared. I don't know, but
his interview.
It was during the international break, right?
Correct. He said, "Penso que estou pronto para seguir em frente. É algo que quero agora. Consolidei-me, conquistei troféus, vivi grandes êxitos, joguei na Liga dos Campeões, na Liga Europa. O Benfica deu-me muito, ajudou a desenvolver-me, mas penso que estão reunidas as condições para dar o passo seguinte." And then he said, "Não partes de clube como o Benfica por algo menor, por isso deve ser uma equipa que lute por títulos, uma equipa estável com presença internacional." And again, he doesn't say like fuck Benfica.
No, he just checked himself out though.
Correct, but it's just the timing of it. And that this interview doesn't happen if he's the starter.
No chance.
Right. But let me ask you this. So was he asked, or did he come out and say that? Was he asked this like during the international break, like when he was he with Greece, I'm assuming? So
he was with Greece.
Was he asked by a reporter like, "Hey, how do you feel about your situation at Benfica?"
I don't know the context. They asked him about him losing his starting role at Benfica.
Okay.
And that's what he came out and said.
He was asked a question, okay? I see what you guys are saying, right? It paints him in a bad spot because it's the middle of the season. But he was asked a question and he responded as an individual. Again, this might be different in different sports, but you hear this all in every sport. If someone wants to raise their stock, be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I've lost my position. I've done whatever. I've done everything I could there. I've won titles. I've played in Champions League. I've done this. I've done that. You don't just leave Benfica and go to any other team. Like if you leave Benfica, it's got to be the right move. So he's not like bad mouthing the club.
But
so
he's talking about leaving. He's talking about leaving.
But he's just
9 games left in the season.
But he's just trying to value himself. Like, hey, look, I don't know. That's the way I see it. I just think he's trying to like put himself like, yeah, I may have lost my spot, but I'm still a valuable player. And if my time is up at Benfica, I will move on to another club. I will move on to a bigger club.
But that's a better answer than what he gave. If my time is up at Benfica,
Mike, he did say that. He said it towards the end.
No, já reuniu as condições para se ir embora, basically. He's done what he had to do and he's leaving.
Benfica deu-me muito, ajudou a desenvolver-me, mas penso que estão reunidas as condições para dar o passo seguinte. And again, I don't think he's 26 years old. I don't think that penso que estão reunidas as condições para dar o passo seguinte ever comes into his head if he is the starter.
No chance.
I don't think that. And again, we don't know what's going through his head. But I just think that because of him losing his spot, and I'm just going back here to see when, right? So he hasn't played in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the last 7 games. The last game he played was against Famalicão, 2-0.
And we tie that game?
No, Famalicão we won 2-0. We tied Moreirense, but Elton Leite was in goal. So 7 games. So
but his last game, he got a clean sheet. Was his last game. Late went and tied, and Late never lost his position since then.
Late tied 1-1, but he got clean sheets after that, and he got 1-1 because of the penalty.
I think this whole thing. I mean, I don't think Jesus did it right. Unless it happened in practice, like I said, it must be something that happens inside. I think Tank said it on the comments. It must be a practice thing. One gives it more than the other. So Jesus probably, I think if Jesus came in with a mentality of like, or like we said, they were always trying to find a replacement for Audi. Years they were trying to find a replacement with a name to come in for Audi, right? Yeah. And this guy came in and is like, oh, he has qualities. Let's give him a shot. And maybe there's a better goalkeeper here because they were already trying to replace him, and Jesus took advantage of Late to being decent.
Yeah, I agree. Tank says, I don't think Audi leaves Benfica to go to a bigger club. I see him going to Greece probably. If he leaves Benfica to go back to Greece at 26, God, talk about a terrible decision.
Well, you said that there's rumors of Dortmund. That's
the rumor.
Yeah.
That's a step up. That's a step up.
And I bet he ends up in the Premier League, I bet anyways.
I mean, he's 26. He's still got, I think he's a good goalie. I think there's still weaknesses that he needs to work on. But, I mean, normally goalies, with the exception of a few, don't normally peak until their late 20s, right? Unless you get like the Edersons, the Oblaks. But you don't get too many, the De Geas. You don't get too many that peak that early. Jay says, what club would he go to? The rumor is that Dortmund is already in communications with his agent. Again, wouldn't surprise me with his connections back to Germany. He was born in Stuttgart. So, it's a country that he knows well, a league that he knows well. It wouldn't surprise me that he goes back somewhere to Dortmund. And Jay says, Dortmund, no way. We'll see.
Better chance to win in the Champions League.
That's true. Somebody else says Audi will get eaten alive in Germany. It's all crosses into the box over there, and he struggles. We shall see. He's got to learn sooner or later.
I'll come back on this pod years later, and I guarantee you Audi's doing better than Late.
I mean, he's younger.
And has more championships. I'm not convinced by Late. I'm not.
You think so? You think in 2-3 years' time that Audi will have more collective team titles than Elton Late?
I don't think so. If Late stays in Benfica, he won't.
No chance.
Because Benfica win the league.
Even if Audi goes to Dortmund, no chance that he wins more than Late.
No, because Dortmund doesn't win. Bayern is there. Dortmund doesn't win shit.
Yeah. I guarantee you that Benfica gets another goalkeeper next year, right? If Audi leaves, and Late loses his job to whoever comes in.
I wouldn't disagree with that either, because I don't think he
You know,
necessarily fits the mold.
this is gonna sound a little weird, but you know, who late reminds me as the goalkeeper we've had in the past.
Who?
Mureto.
No, dude. Moreto sucked.
No, dude, Mureto has some games you look like a fucking like Peter Cech or something, and then some games
dude.
like watch what I'm saying, dude. Late's gonna have one of those games.
And look, I'm not saying Late's a bad keeper. I don't think he's gonna have the career that Odysseas had at Benfica. And okay, he's older, so yeah, he's not as young and may not have as many years. But I don't think he's like a starter for 3 years, or he. How many championships did Odysseas win? 2, 3,
1,
2, 1.
He's got one league. He's got one Supertaça. Yeah, one league and one Supertaça. So he's got 2 titles in 3 years.
I thought he had more.
He wanted the comeback title, the comeback with John Felix and Jonas and
then he won the Supertaça, the 5-0
against Sporting.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know, but that interview to me didn't sit well. It did not sit well. I wish you had to hold off until the look at Servi. Servi's been like no reason taken off the lineup to put Everton because Everton cost 20 million.
He's young too.
Yeah, but that's different, dude.
How is that different? What's Servi do wrong?
A field player is way different than a goalie. A goalie, you lose your spot, you barely get it back. As a field player, you can come back in much easier, even off the bench. You don't see that in with a goalkeeper. It's totally different.
No,
it's one position.
It's not really that. I know it's harder to lose your spot when you're a goalie, right? But you have a game where you let in, like Julio says it did against Brazil, Germany, all the 7-1, whatever it was. Like, that's it. You lose your spot.
He came back he played at Benfica after.
Yeah, and he won a title.
And he won 2
or 3. But it takes one game to have a bad game where you let in a few frangos and you lose it. And if you have a decent backup behind you, you lose it.
Yeah, I agree with Kenny. I think it's definitely tough.
It is tougher, yeah.
Once you've lost the starting role, it's very tough to get it back unless like there's an injury or there's a really bad fuck up. Like you're probably not getting it back. But time will tell. I do think that if Late doesn't get replaced, if they don't bring in a goalie, which I'd be surprised because I don't know if Svila is ready to be a backup. But if they don't bring in a starting caliber goalie, and Late stays as the starter, I think in the next 2-3 years he wins a decent amount of titles, or has a very good chance of winning a decent amount of titles, more than Odysseas. Regardless of where Odysseas goes, like think about it. Unless he's going to like Bayern, unless he's going to a PSG or maybe a Lyon, unless he's going to a Manchester City, a Manchester United, or a Chelsea, and in Spain, Atleti, Barca, or Real, like what league does he have a chance to go to a team that's like an actual title contender? I don't see him going to any of those teams. PSG maybe, but I don't think he's ready clear cut to be a PSG goalie.
Navas is old, man.
He is old.
So
I don't see him going to a team. They got shit tons of money.
For all I know, Jesus could have benched Odysseas because he probably couldn't understand him, and he wanted the Brazilian in there so he could speak his language.
So you could call him keeper. Who keeper? I'm like, dude, I let this guy going to Brazil, comes back, calls him the goalkeeper. Who keeper?
Last topic I wanted to touch on. 9 games left. Benfica is third with 54 points. Porto 57. Sporting 65.
I'm going to stop you right there. No. Don't trick yourself, dude. Don't trick yourself.
I'm
11 points in 24.
I'm trying to manipulate you to believe again.
It's not going to happen. No chance.
So Benfica is 11 points back. Porto is 8 points back. And I'm not necessarily just talking about Benfica. 8 points back from Porto, 11 from Benfica. Benfica still plays Sporting. Sporting still plays Braga as well. Benfica plays Porto as well. So Benfica is at home against Porto, at home against Sporting. Sporting has a pretty tough schedule, and I
Benfica is worse than Sporting.
Hold on. We're gonna go through these schedules. And I want to get your opinions. So, again, I'm not saying that Benfica is going to pull this off, but I think we talked about this in one of the chats where Benfica may not pull this off, but Benfica potentially could steal it from Sporting. And give it
I said that. I said that.
I agree with Oscar on that. That's the only thing.
And I said it at the beginning of the season. Watch Benfica give the title to Porto. When
Paul was on.
Yes. I don't want that to happen, but I watch it happen.
Me neither.
So let's see.
I'd rather see Sporting.
Tony Martinez, a new face on here. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for joining us, Tony. Last year, 8 points exchanged 3 times back and forth. The year before, the same thing. You never know what could happen.
Oh.
Listen, we've seen it happen. Benfica was ahead by 7 points last year, and we ended up losing the title by 5. That is a 13-point swing.
Yeah, but there's 9 games left. You need almost half of those games. You need half of those games to come your way.
You need a cliff.
I get it.
You need half of those games to come your way. That's not. Sporting hasn't lost a game all season.
Okay, hold on. So I'm going to go through these schedules here. So, and let me look at the standings. I want to put this side by side.
So if we get within 6 in like the next 3 weeks, oh my god,
6. That's 5 points. I don't know, man.
Sporting,
I know. That's like the only way.
Sporting's games, right? Dave says here, Famalicão next to Sporting is very difficult. I agree. Sporting Famalicão. Famalicão is the team of, the season right now in the last 3-4 games. Ivo Vieira goes there. He's got them playing well. Looking at their last games, they just beat Paço Ferreira 2-0, right? We've all been talking about Paço Ferreira and Pepe's team. They're playing well. He just beat them 2-0. So they beat Maritimo 4-0. I don't think Maritimo's that great. But he's only been there 2 games. He tied Braga 2-2. Again, we've all been ranting and raving about Braga. So this team, I think, gives Sporting a difficult time. They tied them in the first game, that controversial goal, if you want to call it. Sporting goes to Ferenc. Ferenc is in the relegation battle. They need points.
We tie them.
Yep, 0-0. And they just made things difficult for Braga. They just beat them 2-1. Or they lost to them 2-1. Sporting plays Belenenses. Petit, he's only 4 points clear of the relegation zone. Petit, he's going to go in there with some of his trickery, fucking set up the airplane, the Boeing, park the bus. Sporting goes to Braga. Sporting receives Nacional, who's dead last.
And they have no chance of staying, do they?
They do. They only do. Between last place has 21 points.
Oh, shit.
They're visiting?
Yeah.
They're visiting Nacional?
No.
Oh, they're
Nacional is 21 points in last place, and Rio Ave, for example, is 11th, and they have 27. There's only a 6-point gap. It's not. There's a lot of teams that are going to be in this battle. And Dave, who is a Braga fan, said Ferenc should have won against Braga. So that tells you all you need to know. They host Nacional. They go to Rio Ave, who is 11th with 27 points. They host Boa Vista, who is in the relegation zone. They go to Benfica, and then they host Maritimo, who is in the relegation zone. So they're playing a lot of teams that need points, whether that's 1 point, whether it's 3 points. Okay? Kenny, stop shaking your head, dude. I'm manipulating you. I'm injecting this thought into your head. You're going
not enough. It's not enough.
Tony says Sporting has won last minute of overtime. How many games finally it caught up to them? Yeah,
hey, let's put those games again, and so I can put my results. Okay. So let's go. Sporting what? The first game is Famalicão. So Famalicão is away, right?
Yeah. Ferenc Sporting.
So Famalicão Sporting. I'm putting this as a tie, 1-1. Okay.
Ferenc
Sporting. Sporting is going to win 2-1.
Sporting Belenenses.
They suck.
2-0.
Braga Sporting.
They're going to lose 2-1.
Sporting Nacional.
Sporting Nacional home, right?
Yeah.
Sporting wins 1-0.
Rio Ave Sporting.
They tie 1-1.
Sporting Boa Vista.
They win 2-0.
Benfica Sporting.
They lose 5-0.
And Sporting Maritimo.
Sporting who?
Maritimo.
Maritimo.
Yeah, they win. So
Jesus
let's see.
Christ. That's 10 points. That like that.
We could,
fourth
dude.
place. Oh yeah, they're gonna lose 10 points in the. Come on.
All right, looking at Porto's games.
You're crazy.
Porto goes to Tondela. They're mid-table. Porto goes to Nacional, relegation. Porto receives Guimarães, who just got rid of their coach. Porto goes to Moreirense.
That's tough.
Porto receives Famalicão. Porto goes to Benfica. Porto goes to Farense. Josh Costa, so he'll give them 3 points.
Like we wanted with Petit and we tied.
Yeah. Rio Ave. Porto goes to Rio Ave, and Porto plays at home against Belenenses.
Porto has the easiest schedule.
Benfica goes away to Passo Ferreira, receives Gil Vicente, Gil Vicente is 10th with 28 points. Portimonense, Benfica goes away to Portimonense. For some reason, they always give us a hard time, and they're only 4 points clear of the relegation. Benfica, Santa Clara.
They're tough.
Yeah.
Santa Clara's going to be tough. Tondela away is going to be tough.
Damn, we have a lot of away games.
Porto.
At home, yeah.
Nacional, Benfica.
And then we go to the Ilha, Nacional. Tough game too.
Yeah. Benfica, Sporting.
And then we go to Guimarães.
Yep,
we'll be lucky if we're still in third.
So
that's what I mean. Where my thing comes up, if the Sporting loses 10, if Sporting loses 10 points, and we beat them, we give the Campeonato to Porto.
That I think is alive. That's in play. I think I think we have the hardest schedule, and Braga's going to be on our heels. We're going to be still fighting for that third place, maybe second place, maybe. If Sporting completely falls off the cliff, I just don't see it happening. We need they have to lose half of their games, or
all it takes is one bad result, and then them losing their heads, and when it comes to motivation, right? You lose a game, like you tie a game like this one last night, like they used to winning it, right? Now they just lost 2 points in the last minute of the game. That could mess around with little young kids. Like Sporting has a bunch of like young kids playing. Let's see how they go against Famalicão.
I think this loss may hurt, but if they don't get a win against Famalicão, I think some doubt could start.
It's a cliff. It's a big cliff. I'm telling you. Then I'm gonna send a parachute to Paul.
Kenny's not convinced. My manipulation skills aren't working.
I'm not convinced with Benfica, and I'm not convinced with your argument. Not at all.
Do you think Porto can snatch it from him?
Yes, I think.
I'm not. My argument isn't specifically for Benfica. Do you think with an 8-point gap that Sporting can lose this?
Yes. There's multiple factors. Sporting, Porto has an easier schedule. Sporting's got a lot of pressure on them not to finally win the league, right? But I just don't. At the end of the day, I still think Sporting wins it, and I hope if it's between them or Porto that they do win it. But I thought you were saying like Benfica has a chance. I don't think so. Not for us. We would have. I mean, for Benfica to be champions, it has to be like the worse than COVID year type of thing to happen. Like, I mean, not only does Sporting have to lose points, but Porto has to completely fall off the rails too. Like,
all we have to do is beat Porto. We're ahead of them.
Win out.
We have to. If we beat Porto, we're ahead of them.
But Porto has the easiest schedule. They're not. Yeah. I mean,
but in order for us to even have a chance, we have to win out. No matter what, we have to win out
for sure.
So that means like the 6 or 7 victories in a row right now have to be extended to 16.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
Do you think we win out?
No.
We have a lot of away games. I didn't realize that. Against not just like against.
And we have to go to the Ilha, and
we have to go to the Ilha.
4. We have 5 away games and 4 home games.
Yeah, that's some tough away games there. So,
all right. Well,
I know Tony Martins just says Porto plays twice a week and Benfica once, but that's going to last 2 more weeks.
Dude, if they get past Chelsea, oh my God.
I said the same thing against Juventus though, so then they fucked up.
And Jay says, sorry, if Porto has a chance, then we do as well. They're only 3 points up from us.
Yeah, but if Porto has a chance, we have to lose against them. If we have a chance, we have to beat Porto, and that's not the thing. If Porto has a chance, they beat us. If they don't beat us, they don't have a chance, I don't think. So it's either one or the other.
Yeah.
It's not both.
Yeah.
So here's a question, hypothetical. Benfica Sporting. Benfica wins. Porto wins the title. Benfica loses. Sporting wins the title. What do you want?
I said that with Paul's in the podcast. I said it. I won't not be surprised if Benfica gives Porto the title by us beating Sporting. I don't want Benfica to give Porto the title. I'd rather Sporting win. But I'll laugh so hard on all the Sporting's fans for losing that one they'll never they'll probably block me on everything that any social media.
If they lose this title, it's the most Sporting thing they could ever do.
Oh my god, it's 100%. That yeah. I actually don't even think that game matters. I think Sporting's already champions by that game.
Okay, we'll see. Maybe the tone may be different from Kenny next week after Sporting plays Famalicão and drops points.
Or after we drop points too, aren't we away at Monsters, right?
Yeah, but I'm really not putting ourselves in that title run. I'm really not. Like I said, my thing is either we give the Porto the championship or Sporting is champion.
All right. So if Sporting drops points at home against Famalicão, Benfica beats Paços Ferreira,
then we're 8.
Are we back in it?
No, I'm not going to say we're back in until
if we're not 6. Back in it with 8 points and Porto's in it with 8 now. What the hell?
No, Porto's in it, but there's also the extra game in hand.
An easier schedule.
And an easier schedule.
But if we're 8 points back and we're not in it, but Porto's 8 points back now and they're in it, regardless of the schedule, it's
because
points.
you're down. Yeah, but you're down a game. You have more.
But we still play them.
But you still play them regardless.
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying, I'm just looking at it. I'm just looking at it like literally 9 games. We need half of those, more than half of those, to go our way. Sporting needs to lose.
How many games did we drop at the end of last season?
I don't think. I think towards the end of the season, you're more like the train's rolling, like it is right now. I think it's hard to lose points. Listen, but look, Benfica still better be playing good ball by the end of the season because we still have something to play for after the season's over. So at the end of the day, I still want us to be playing well. I don't think there's enough of a runway. Like if we were talking about this with like maybe let's just say instead of 9 games we had 11, 12 games. Okay, yeah, things but like we're running out of time.
It's 8 games after next week. Even if they lose, there's only 8 games left.
All right. So last year, after the break, there was 10 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In 10 games, Benfica lost 12 points. 12.
Yeah, but this is only
9
but
games. that was the COVID year, like with the end of that season. Go back the season before, see how many we lost.
Porto lost them.
Last year was a complete disaster. Last year was a complete disaster for most teams.
Yeah, but then the year before, Porto lost how many points? Let me see. So we finished 2 points ahead of them. They were 7 points up on us.
How many games left though?
With 10 games left or 9 games left?
Let me see what they did.
It's tough because you're saying talking 12 games. 12 games and 9 games is a big difference.
No, 10 games. It was just one more game. They lost 12 points in 10 games.
Okay.
12 points in 10 games. Let me see.
Yeah, we need 10 points in 9 games. Right?
No, we need 11 points.
11 points in 9 games.
And beat Sporting by more than 1 goal.
So that year, Porto, they were up early in the season. Because after the turn of the year, they tied Porto, they tied Guimarães, they tied Moreirense, they lost to Benfica, and tied Rio Ave. So in the turn of the year, they lost 2, 4, 6, 9, 11 points. Right? So they still did well at the end of the season, but the few points that they lost, Benfica took advantage of them. So I don't know. We'll see next week if you guys if I've manipulated you guys enough to maybe have a little bit more hope. Any final thoughts before I wrap it up here? Tony says, if you get this time, it's growing. The team is coming together, which everybody else is just fighting to stay together. I agree that I think Benfica looks more of a team than they have earlier, but we'll see. We'll see how the others hold on. Can they hold on is the question.
But we just played a second to last team, or like a horrible team in the league at home, and we wanted a PK. I mean,
yeah, but you also said that we could have won 4 or 5.
we could have, but that's how Sporting is winning. If they're staying together, then I mean, if we call ourselves creating a team and they're staying together, I guess
maybe the horseshoe fell out of their ass in Moreira de Cónegos. Hopefully, they didn't find it. Because I know you as well as I were thinking that they were going to find a late one again.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And let's not think Porto found the late one against Ferenc too. That
95th minute
pisses me off so much.
So you just never know. There's still a lot of footy to play. There's only 9 games, but there's a lot to play for.
Hey, what about how terrible would this be? Okay,
here we go.
You guys want to be the opposite.
I know what you're gonna say.
What if Porto ends up getting the treble, like the high treble, Champions League?
Get out of here, dude.
And Taça Portugal.
Get out of here, dude.
Okay, so you want to be the optimist. Porto has a better chance of winning those 3. Out. Oh well, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. I thought Porto was Braga. Never mind.
They can get the double, but not the triple. Yeah, Champions League. Get out of here. No one's just sonhar com coisas assim.
No matter what, like when they won it last time, and they just the route they had was like just like, oh my god, I couldn't believe it. Everything just opened up for them. The Deportivo da Coruña, then finally Monaco in the final. That like everything opened up for them. But this time they have to go through a shitty ass Liverpool or Real Madrid.
I'll tell you what, if they get past Chelsea, that team's going to pick up some serious confidence.
Yeah, but then they have to play a Bayern probably, or PSG or Man City. What I'm thinking.
Listen, when it comes to a one-off, you never know.
I know the one-off that's the thing. That's the thing.
Yep.
But
all right. Well, just to remind you guys, make sure you check us out on Facebook. Follow our page. We've made some significant strides. Before we came online, I believe we were at about 10,400 followers. So we're moving up the chain. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube as well. We're also on Instagram, Cantinho Benfiquista with no spaces. So check us out on our website as well, cantinhobenfiquista.com. We'll be back tomorrow for the Portuguese podcast. Luis will be taking care of that one with the crew across the pond. And then Thursday, again, we'll have our interview in Portuguese with Odysseas again, former Portuguese footballer who is now retired, living in London. He played for various teams in the Portuguese league. Benfica fan growing up, but never got a chance to play for Benfica. He did score against Benfica at the Estádio da Luz in 96, I believe, for Braga. Tied the game 1-1. So it should be an interesting conversation. He's had an interesting career on and off the field. An interesting story, considering what he's doing today. He's working in a casino, so not often that you see footballers who retired, who played for such a long time, end up doing something like that. So don't forget to check that out on Thursday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern, and it will be 9:30 in Portugal.
Looking forward to that one.
Again, thanks everyone in the chat. There was a few new names, a few of the regulars, so appreciate it. And we will catch you guys for this podcast next week. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Later. Yeah.